everybody, welcome to another edition of Cleaning and Cocktails. Today, I'm super stoked. As they always say, right? Everybody that has a guest on, John, right? They're like, I'm super stoked. But no, in this case, guys, John's story and what John has done in this industry, and it's John Ezzo here who's with us as a guest for those listening in and not seeing us. This is a remarkable story, man. So I'm excited. I know we got 1 hour. It may go over just for those, just to let those know it's going to be a longer one because I have a lot of questions. I have a lot to talk about because your journey, man, plus 35 years right now, we're going to get into it. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I appreciate you, my man. As you know, what we do here is bring cleaning business owners like yourself, man. Bring cleaning industry experts, subject matter, suppliers, manufacturers, to do what? Share their story. Everybody's got a story. Our industry has a ton of them, and I'm doing the best I can to just share those and really put a spotlight on what we do. This is not a glamorous and sexy industry, but it is lucrative, it's fun, it's exciting, and it's because people like you, John, that are paving the way for us. So again, without further more, thank you for joining me and having a cocktail.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I'm going to open mine up.
Yesterday was 35-year anniversary.
Well, then, a double cheers to that.
Thank you. Cheers.
Double cheers to that.
Cheers.
So, I mean, before you even get into your story, John, let's talk about that. 35 years. What did you do or what are you going to do to celebrate 35 years?
Well, we have a monthly town hall meeting where we bring everybody together at our headquarters in Michigan. So that will be turned into an anniversary party. So,
there you go.
For the 30 year, we did a big event at a racetrack and did, test drives and race cars and raise money for veterans charities and stuff like that. I guess we'll wait till the 40 year to do another big event like that.
So, and I'm coming.
Thank you. You're always
not too far. I'm in Chicago.
You're always invited.
Thank you, man. Thank you. So you touched on what I was going to say too. Is you guys again, for more context, John is the CEO of New Image Building Services. They're a full service facility management company. Global headquarters is in Detroit, right? I think it's Detroit. It's in Michigan.
Yes.
Did you guys hear me say global? Now, John, why do I have to say it's a global headquarters? Can we get into why?
Well,
it's called global.
New Image is operating in the Middle East, in Qatar, has been since 2010. In fact, our license in Qatar was issued the same day that Qatar was awarded the World Cup Soccer, FIFA. So,
good. I mean,
yeah.
Just saying that though.
Yeah.
Like, I know it rolled off your tongue, but like we're so used to we do business in the States a lot. 99.9% of the guests that I have, we're just talking U.S. So this is going to be fun talking about international, for example.
Yeah. So there since 2010, and we've been in Latin America and Panama and Colombia since 2017.
Dude.
And
again, rolls off your tongue. Like, John, was that? Well, so again, for context of your story, right? Like, take us back before we got into there, because I want to lead us into how it came to be that you went international. Like, when did New Image start, and why did you start it, and like, what were the early years looking like for you in New Image?
Well, why I started it was I was going to college to be an architect, and the first 2 years I lived away at school, and my dad thought I was having too much fun, so he told me to go get a job. And he actually arranged for me to get a job. Italians, they do stuff like that. So arranged for me to get a cleaning job, cleaning medical buildings for a small cleaning company, Monday through Friday. So I started doing it, and one day in the Sunday, after Sunday dinner, because Sunday dinner was expected at the house, he said, "How's that cleaning job going?" I'm like, "That's really great, because I can listen to music, nobody bothers me, it's instant gratification. I get there, it's dirty, I leave, it's clean. It's good, Dad." He said, "Well, why don't you start a company like that of your own?" I said, "Dad, I'm going to school to be an architect. Why would I start a cleaning business?" He said, "Well, you're doing it now. You'll make better money working on your own, and you can get other guys you're going to school with to help you out, and then you can always sell the business later or get somebody to run it or whatever." So, that became the theme of my life, really, was why not? Because he said, "Why not?" So it's tattooed on my arm in 3 different languages. I got it English, Spanish, and Arabic. So I started knocking on doors up and down the street from his business, and picked up a first customer in 1988, and the customer was a law firm. shortly after I started, he says, John, have you started an entity yet for this business? I'm like, no. Well, you need an entity. You have to be legal and all that stuff. I'm like, okay. Well, we said, we can help you with that. I said, do you have a name for the company? I said, no, I don't have a name. He says, well, I got a name for you. I said, what's that? He says, we're going to call it New Image Building Services. I said, okay, why? He said, well, you've given our law firm a whole new image, and knowing you, John, you will not stop with cleaning. So we don't want to call it New Image Cleaning Services. We're going to call it New Image Building Service, which covers anything that would be done to service a building. So George Clark was his name. In 1988, he named the company.
Oh my God! Now that's a story, man. Think
That's
about it. Like I've talked about, like, yeah. So we used to be Rosalado Cleaning.
yes.
To your point.
Hmm.
Then we had to switch to Rosalado Services, and because of what you said, so you didn't even mean to do that. He helped you do it, and look at where you're at today.
Yeah, he saw the vision.
He saw the vision.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I love how, like, that's funny. It's, you gave them a new image. This is what you do with every client you take on, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, and he came to our 25-year anniversary party.
Oh, is he still your attorney, or did he help you
No,
with the entity?
no, he retired. The guy that he had do the work, the attorney that he had do set up the company is coming to our town hall next week.
Oh, there
35,
you go.
35 years later.
35.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So, John, obviously you started the company, so you are up to, I believe, again, it could be bigger, but 1,200 employees, I think, right?
Yeah.
Is that about where you're at?
Yes.
So, because for context too, a lot of our listeners are early stage, growing. They want to scale, they want to grow. That's why I like bringing especially guests like you, because you were there and now you are where you are. So you've seen what growth can look like. So are you excited? Does it make you happy that you have so many employees? Because I hear people that get scared and they think it's daunting to have so many team members. How do you look at it that you've gone from 0 to 1,200?
Well, obviously we all have our good days and our bad days, but um, that you say there's the 80-20 rule, right? You could say 80% of your people are great and 20% of the ones that cause you a headache. We've got to the point now. In fact, it's one of our themes at our town halls is we are 98 too. 98% of our people are great. The 2% give us a headache.
Keep you on your toes, right?
Yeah.
Keep you on your toes.
Yeah. And, our purpose is to elevate people. So when that's your purpose, then you just look for all kinds of examples of elevating people. And, to do that multicultural and multinational has really been an amazing experience. I mean, you can imagine in 2010, when the world learned that World Cup soccer was going to be held in the Middle East for the first time 12 years later, I was like, what in the Middle East? They have, women's right issues and workers' rights issues and all these kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
And really, New Image is the one who that started that whole movement of workers' rights in that part of the world. And it started in Dubai, and it's like the United States, stuff that starts in New York or California makes its way around. And we started those workers' rights issues and quality of life issues in Dubai, and it spread throughout the region and became the law, and how contractors could be awarded those projects for FIFA World Cup soccer. So we have lots of stories about how we've impacted people around the world, and I could talk for hours about those stories. So when you look at it that way, and I saw a post on LinkedIn today about it was a guy holding up a sign that said "Pay your people well, damn it."
Oh, is that Chad Gono?
And you liked it. You liked that post.
Yeah,
but
Chad. Yes.
Yes, because it's
he does that. He literally just holds signs up.
Right.
He's all about his people.
Yeah.
He just always posts about his people.
Everywhere we go, we're always trying to be a step ahead, compensation wise, of the market, whether if it's in the United States or a different country. And we've got to the point now that's how we bid our jobs. I mean, we just bid a job across 11 states. We had a virtual assistant work on surveying wages of these types of positions in every single city of a 330 some location bid, and that's how we priced it. So we're not cookie cutter pricing. We're priced, okay, so if we're going to be in this city in Indiana or Illinois or wherever, what's the market competitive wage, and how do we have to price to be above it. So that's kind of where it starts, is have a competitive advantage when it comes to compensation. And then from there on, it's the benefits and the training and we just started a job. I'm sitting at a customer's facility in Florida right now. Um, you know, and we interviewed people, and this is a new part of Florida that we've not operated in before. So we're interviewing people. I'm like, so what kind of training did you have with these other cleaning companies that you worked for? And everybody looks at me with a blank look on their face, like, what training? I'm like, "Well, did you have any training materials? Did Ecolab or Diversity or any of those industry guys come in and help do the training? Did you get any manufacturers reps to help train you on equipment?" They're like, what equipment? We use a sanitary vacuum. I'm like, okay. So, it's just like, so you have to compensate them well. You got to train them well, and you have to equip them well. And so here we are, in Florida. I'm probably the first person operating a robot, in this part of Florida, and and our staff's working around a robot, and our staff got to name the robot, and so it makes the job more. All these things make the job more interesting. From PTO to recognition programs, safety programs, and it works because obviously we're making money. Maybe some of my less scrupulous competitors are making a higher margin than me. Okay. But we've got a great team. We have very low turnover. But again, the purpose of the company is to elevate people.
Oh man, so we're only 13 minutes, not even 13 minutes in, John, and I'm like, usually I'm the one with the passion in the voice, but I could hear the passion in your voice too. So like, again, we could talk about people all day because I think people is, you have to sell and win business, right? Then to hire the people. But early on, I always like to start or go back to the early on, right? Obviously you've evolved and you've learned a ton. You could hear it, how you speak about the industry and your experience. Like, what's your advice and suggestion to those that, they're hiring their first 5 or 6 people, their first manager, their first right hand, right? We all need that first big hire and then the next follow. Like, what's your advice now that you know what you know today for those that are trying to build that first team to allow them to work on the business versus in the business, even though we're always working in the business, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, it starts with, there's all kinds of tools out there now for hiring the right people. And I encourage everyone to invest in those tools, assessments. There's a really inexpensive tool. It's a book called Top Grading. And they say in the book, if you follow the process, that you're pretty much got a 99% success rate on hiring, supervisors and managers and above. So we've been using that for a long time, and we've used different assessments throughout the years. But we're an EOS company as well. So we look at get it one at capacity to do the job. But even if you're small and you're just starting out, you can use those tools to, even if you do nothing more than buy the book Top Grading and use the tools in there on how to hire the right people. So it starts with hiring the right people that are a good fit to work with you and work with others, and then obviously training them and equipping them. And now we've got the programs at BSCAI, we got the programs at ISSA, and they're not very expensive. They take some time, but they're not very expensive. I mean, in our town hall right now, when we break at 2 p.m. and there's a whole group that break off into a study group for, the RBSM certification. So there's tools to equip people to really understand the industry and how to be successful in it. And I think the biggest mistake I see people making when they're trying to grow their companies, they say they don't have time to train people, they don't have money to train people. And of course, the obvious response is, well, what's going to happen if you don't?
Yeah.
So
you can't afford not to.
Right. To really invest in the training, take advantage of the programs that we have, through the associations. That shows the people that you care about them. You want them to be successful, but you're equipping them to be successful.
So, John, I'm assuming, or I think you probably have this, or you're doing this right now, but a dream I've always had. We're smaller than you. We're here in the local Chicago market. But I'm infatuated with the people side, and we've struggled. To what you said is what we've told ourselves sometimes is we don't have the time, we don't have the space, right? Like in my head, I'd love to have ongoing training 5 days a week in the office, in a facility set aside, so they can learn the basics and learn our way of cleaning every day. Whether it's one person that's training, or we started a new account and it's 6 people training, but it's always like, well, we don't have accounts to start today. Okay, well, what do we do? And then, oh God, we won 6 accounts. We got to start 15 people in 2 days. Like, how do people like work on training if they have that notion of, I don't have the time, I don't have the space, I don't know when I'm going to start the next account, I can't afford a full-time trainer? Because these are all rebuttals, man. I've said to myself,
Yes.
and I've heard others when I'm in the conferences with them.
Well, we don't have a we don't have a I mean, as big as we are, we don't have a training staff. It's our thing is, I'm as responsible as everybody else is for training new people. I mean, did a startup. I'm here helping train people. I mean, so supervisors need to know how to train, managers need to know how to train, HR needs to know how to train. There's all kinds of training tools out there. Power of effective coaching, tell, show, do, review. Make training very simple. So you can do it while you're getting the job done. I mean, tell, show, do, review, for example, method of training. It only takes a few. Like, let's talk about training somebody to clean bathrooms. So you explain the process to them, then you do a bathroom. You go on to the next bathroom, you have them do it. After the second bathroom, you have them review back the steps to you to clean the bathroom. And you take something like this from, a training tool from Ecolab on how to clean bathrooms, and take them through the steps, 1 through 12 and whatever it is. And at the time while you're training, you're also just got 2 bathrooms cleaned.
You got 2 bathrooms cleaned.
So, I mean, don't tell me you don't have time to train. I mean, the way we do it now is you're getting the work done, and you're training, and you're equipping people to be successful. And the labor market's changed a lot, since I started, and obviously a lot since the pandemic. And you're dead in the water if you don't invest in this stuff now.
Yeah.
You'll just have if the industry average turnover was 300% before, imagine what it is now.
Yep.
So yeah, we don't have a choice. If it's pay, if you want to play in this industry, you gotta pay the price of training.
You gotta pay the price. Oh God, I love it. I'm pumped that those are points that I don't think we'll ever get old, and people need to keep hearing those, man. So I appreciate that.
I mean, there's all kinds of, when's the last, besides robotics, which still have their limitations, when's the last time there was anything revolutionary in our business for productivity?
Right.
The backpack,
No.
The backpack was revolutionary, but how many years old is that? So it's like, we have no choice but to train and teach people how to be effective and productive, and they have so many options now to make money. If it's not a rewarding experience,
they're moving on. Oh man,
yeah.
1,000%. Wow, that's a great point, man. So, John, now again, I'm infatuated with the fact that you're international. So, training here, hiring here, recruiting here, managing here, different in Dubai?
No.
In Middle East?
No.
Different? Or just
we use the same
universal?
same systems, different language.
Say that again for people that
same systems and different languages. So you if you need training materials in any language and you work with one of our manufacturers, Diversity or Ecolab, they'll make it for you. All you have to do is ask. And obviously they have their stuff in English and Spanish. I mean, this training guide right here is both in English and Spanish, and it's available to any of their customers that are using their system. And but I've had stuff made in Arabic, for the Middle East, and back before you could get that stuff so easily, back in 2008, 9, when we did the Dubai Mall, we hired some international instruction students from Wayne State University in Detroit to come over to the Dubai Mall and actually create a training program because we had people coming from Bangladesh, from India, from the Philippines, from Nepal. So you got different cultures, different languages. So we did a lot of training materials with different symbols. And we had to use symbols and colors that wouldn't offend any of those cultures. But it's possible to do all that, and we did it all, and it worked. And many times I've traveled there since, and I walk in a Dubai Mall and I see somebody that we trained back in 2008, 2009, still working
there. Yeah.
Or they've been promoted to the Burj Khalifa, and I go up to Experience 124 to take somebody there on a tour, and I see somebody that we trained, all those years ago, still working.
That's awesome.
It's, in fact, we had recruiting agencies over there in the Middle East tell me that they hate me, and I'm like, why? It's because we make our money on turnover, and our people come to work for you, and they don't want to leave. So then I can't charge you to hire somebody else to replace them.
That's your problem.
Mission
You got good culture.
Mission accomplished. Yeah.
There you go. Oh man. So John, I know you have a history with BSCI too.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually one of the places I first met you. How important has that been in like the ISSA organization as well? Like, how important have these organizations been for you? Especially, because you're international, because you've got a national type of service company. What has come out of being, and not just joining, but being part of those organizations?
Well, ISSA has helped us because they are truly international. They've helped us with programs abroad, you know, from their they've and that I think they actually have ISSA actually has a an office in the Middle East.
And they have them. Yep, I think it's Dubai. They
Yeah, in
actually have an
Dubai.
office in Dubai. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, we've tapped their programs and but going back to the beginning, I mean, when I was in college and I started, this little cleaning company, my one of my college professors told me about BSCAI because he was a business consultant for a contractor in Michigan that was a member of the association. And he says, John, you really need to check out this association. So, he was go find out when their first convention is and get back to me. So it was in Dallas. The next one was going to be in Dallas. And he says, you got to go to Dallas and go to the convention. I'll arrange for you to meet my client. That was Jack McManus from Unibar Maintenance. And I said, I can drive down the street to Ann Arbor and meet him. I don't need to travel to Dallas to meet him. He says, I'm not going to make the introduction for you unless you go to Dallas. So that's when I went to the first BSCI event was in Dallas for me as a college student, and I saw what was possible by going to the trade show and attending the networking and the education sessions. I'm like, okay, I had no idea. So that's when I pivoted and decided, hey, I can make a go of this.
Mm.
Actually changed my major from architecture to business because of BSCI, because of that
Wow.
exposure and that vision of what is possible to be accomplished. And then of course, I served on the board and committees and then the board and all the way up to president. And I was involved obviously in the leadership. We had several of us that got together. I wish our country would do the same, but we won't get political. But we had like
Tell me about it.
four presidents of the association got together. So it was the president before me, and the two that were coming after me. So the four of us got together, and we knew what the succession plan was. So we said, let's iron out a strategy that we each of us promised to continue. And one of those was to cooperate and co-locate with ISSA. So now, as you know, we co-locate, and there's a lot more cooperation between the two now, not treating each other as competitors anymore. And although we are,
Which they shouldn't. Yeah, man. Like I'm a
right?
big advocate for both of them. Like I'm
Yeah.
a member of both. I need both.
Yes.
Like it's they're so alike but yet so different and serve different needs, in my
Exactly.
opinion.
Exactly. So I mean, I credit our success, and somebody posted on LinkedIn about our anniversary. That's staying power. I credit our staying power to those networks and those people and friends that I met. I mean, you're interviewing me, and I mean, I could give you a whole list of a lot of other people that icons in the industry that so generously give of their time and expertise and experience to help each other and mentor each other. It's not because of me. It's just because I was willing to make the commitment to learn, be teachable, use your two ears
Yeah.
and you got two ears and one mouth, right? So
So you're telling me I've got another 100 episodes to probably go, so I could keep
e-
interviewing
e-
all
e-
these people in the industry.
easily, but there's like there is you and a lot of other really upcoming leaders in the industry that are like, I mean, it's very exciting. And I kind of started taking a back seat after all these years, like in 2020. But then when the freaking pandemic hit, everybody wanted to, all the customers wanted to talk to me again. Where they
Mm.
for a while they're talking primarily to my team. So me and my chief operating officer Jim, we were just gun guns blazing, helping everybody deal with the whole pandemic, and it re-energized me. You know, so I'm really excited about the future, and I'm really excited to see the leadership that's coming up in the industry like yourself.
Nah, man, I appreciate it. Thank you. I remember, I think we were at a whiskey event here in Chicago, and I remember asking you, or you were telling me something about, man, I'm trying to put a hand on it. But we were there for acquisitions. You were talking about
Yeah.
M&A, and
Hmm.
just I think you were helping a few of us there. But then that's when I learned you were in Dubai, and the story behind New Image here locally. And then I look you up, and I'm like, man, I'm like, you were so nonchalant, just talking through, like, again, being an ear for me, and we have talked about wanting to do this even back then. And again, you live and are doing exactly what you just said, right? Like you're supporting, you're giving back, you're excited, you're sparked back to, I see you busy out there. Like, and I think we all need to see that for each other, because
Yeah.
there's different stages of growth you've been to places that companies like myself want to get to, or that others want to have that refresh and get back to that again.
Mm-hmm.
And something to ask you, John, is since you've been a part of this for so long, because I've seen more collaboration. I've seen, when I first got into the space, my first BSCI conference, I always talk about this, is I was nervous, I was scared, I was overwhelmed, too big of a space. But to your point, it changed my life because I actually saw that, wow, wait a minute, it's this big. There's that many successful people. I could do this, but I don't know any of these people. So I've got to get outside of my skin and meet people. But it's like, I never would have done that if I didn't take that leap of faith.
Right.
And it's like, when I first started, I just did not get a chance to talk to as many people, where now in the past 2 years, I got to tell you, I've been able to talk to more and more people, and more people are willing to share, connect, share contacts, share leads, share advice, share strategies. Like today, you can't see it here, but I've got 15 cleaning companies coming here from all over the country. We're doing like a user tech conference here for them.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are competitors. They're in the same city,
Right.
but they're happy to meet and talk.
Yeah.
How have you seen that evolve?
Well, okay. Well, first of all, when I tell people about BSCI and ISSA, the contractors that are involved in those associations, like there's over 60, 70,000 registered cleaning companies in the United States. How many members are there, contract members are there between ISSA and BSCI?
Like 3,000, right?
If,
like 2,000.
if that.
If that.
But what's our market share? So
true.
Our market share, we had a study done on this for BSCI years ago, but back then there was only I think in 2007 when I was president, we had maybe 1,250 member companies or something like that, and that we were doing 60% of the market share in the United States.
Wow.
So
1,200 companies.
Yes. So out of 60,000 registered companies, so what does that tell you? So like my professor, when he told me about to go to Dallas, I said, I can't afford to go to Dallas for a convention. He's like, John, I don't care if you steal the money, borrow the money, whatever. I said, well, what about missing class? He goes, John, this is something you need to do. So I said, is it an assignment now? He says, is it going to affect my grade? He says, absolutely. So, so I went, and it wasn't easy, and I was freaked out about paying for it. But look what's happened. So if somebody says they can't afford the time or the money, well, then maybe you shouldn't have too big of an ambition of where you want to take the business. But if you do, the return on investment is amazing. And the proof's in the numbers. I mean, 60% market share back then. I don't know what it is now. But to your point is those 15 companies that are coming to a user conference with you, they are not each other's competition.
Mm-mm.
Our competition is those other 58,000 companies out there that don't know what they're doing because they don't have the advantages we do of the education and the standards and all these things of how to do business. And that's what we're up against. And we're up against those, illegal subcontracting and all the other kind of stuff that goes on that we're up against. So that's our competition. So there's plenty of business to go around. So.
Oh man.
And you can only have so much market share in one market anyway. So you're based in Chicago, I'm based in Detroit. I mean, what makes me think I'm gonna have a dominant market share in any one city?
No.
You're not going to.
No way.
So don't look at it as competition. Look at it as collaboration.
100%, man. I couldn't agree with you more. Expansion is like when people, they talk. I'm in 20 states myself. I get excited. I get scared. It's a challenge, but then there's a reward. Like there's a lot of feelings when you're growing, right?
Yeah.
But it's exciting to me. Like I like the challenge. But I wanted to ask you, John, because it doesn't stop with just like cleaning for you or the facility services game. Like, I do my homework. I see all the stuff you're doing too.
Mm-hmm.
Is like you spoke. It's I have my note here at the U.S. State Department on trade delegations. Like, again, mouthful, but like here you are. CEO and founder of New Image, you're in the facility space. Like, what drove you to say, hey, I'm going to take this on and I want to participate and be a part of these discussions in the Middle East and in Latin America?
Well, that happened in the Middle East. I was a member of the American Chamber of Commerce in Doha, Qatar, and so the first thing that happened was they wanted actually to do us because facility management is preventive maintenance, all that kind of stuff was really new to that part of the world, back then. So they actually asked Chris Cracknell, that he used to be the CEO of the company based in the UK, and one of the largest cleaning companies in the world, 50 some thousand employees. They had Chris and I do a presentation together on facility management for the Chamber of Commerce for all their members that were building owners and managers. So I got recognized that way. And then when the Chamber was going to host a business delegation on how on doing business in Qatar, they asked me to participate with that trade mission. So I was part of hosting those other American companies who came to check out the region as a place to do business. And I just met some amazing people. A lot of people from the defense industry, obviously, from Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, all those guys, oil and gas companies. So yeah, here's the chief janitor participating in a international trade mission was really, really cool. And meeting a lot of great people from different industries. So yeah.
Dude, I mean, you say Homeland Security too. Like, how did that? Like, I know you spoke with them as well. Like, again,
yeah.
It's
So
pretty
after,
cool. Like, I like this is more than just cleaning, right? Like the things that you were able to participate or you do shows how big our reach can be, right? And like the effect that our businesses have.
Right. So BSCI started cooperating with BOMA many years ago to help educate BOMA members on how to qualify contractors.
Oh, nice. I like that. Okay. Yeah, because BOMA is facility manager or like property manager, facility management.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
So we actually had a program, and we had like a joint committee, BOMA members and BSCI members, and we met in Washington D.C. at BOMA's headquarters, and we worked on this, and we actually published a qualification package for building owners and managers to use to qualify contractors, and it was BSCI branded. But that led to, after 9/11, that led to Department of Homeland Security asking BOMA, do you have any resources to help us educate our landlords who develop and manage black box facilities for the government on how to harden access and control of those facilities? So
because we have to clean those.
Correct.
Like, I mean, we need to clean those facilities. Okay.
Yeah. So there's a association called the Real Estate Roundtable based in Washington D.C., and that is a group of the largest landlords to the U.S. government. So DHS obviously works hand in hand with that association. So they asked me to come speak to them about hardening of black box facilities, and we did active shooter training. We talked about, I grabbed different movie clips. Some of you might remember, but some of the movie clips of people, people impersonating janitors to get access to a building. Like if you remember the movie Wall Street, when Charlie Sheen he went to work for the cleaning company and then he got access to the file room to start grabbing those.
Yes, yeah.
So I made like a series of movie clips like that, and I showed it to this group, and the assistant director of the FBI was sitting in the room at the time. He was just like, John, that was really creative to get our attention. I said, well,
look, think about it. That resonates, right? That's like, you guys seen that movie? You see what? Yeah, great.
So there's all kinds of examples I was able to find in different movies of people impersonating janitors to enter a facility, basically for espionage. And so then I was talking about airports and stuff like that. I said, well, I said when I bid the Detroit airport, the new McNamara terminal, I said I wasn't even put through any type of qualification or background check or nothing, and they gave me blueprints of the whole airport, including all the all the back of house underground stuff and everything. And the assistant director of the FBI sitting there, he goes, "That's impossible." I said, "Would you like to see it?" And I anticipated the question, so I pulled it out of my briefcase and handed it to him. I had those floor plans all back then. It was on paper, all folded up in my briefcase. I took it out and handed it to him. So my point was,
again, serious stuff. Like,
serious stuff. I said,
yeah.
you guys are contracting janitorial companies. You're not even qualifying them, first of all. Yes, you require a certificate of insurance, but how are you qualifying them? Are you reviewing background checks? Are you doing all these things? And now Ernie Clark in that market, he's his whole company is specializes in top secret clearances for cleaning those types of
Oh,
facilities. So he's got a great gig going on over there and doing a really good job. But so yes, it's you know, sometimes I say people say, John, what are you doing? Well, I'm a chief janitor, but
dude, I love it.
but
I
we
said I'm taking that one. I'm gonna take that
but
one.
we do have access when you think about it, we have more access to most of our customers' facilities than their own employees do.
Mm.
And it needs to be taken more seriously. That was the whole point of that assignment was of that and that consulting with DHS and the Real Estate Roundtable. They really appreciated
Wow.
it, and I know they made some changes because of it. I still have a contact. In fact, he's written a couple books now, but the guy, my liaison at DHS, is still there. He's a great guy and a great friend of the industry.
Oh man, John, think about it. I got goosebumps. Right? It's like again, we're talking about the janitorial industry that many will say, low wage, not that important, can be replaced. Like you just said, not very highly vetted. Like that is changing and will be changing, especially with COVID. But like the way you just discussed, this is the first time I've actually had a guest on to speak to that nature of like the importance of our role and what we do. The keys we get access. We get access to facilities. You said it. Like we have more keys to more rooms and more codes to more areas
Yeah.
than any of those employees do, man. And they've been there for years.
Right.
We're new.
My first
We're
present,
coming in.
yeah, my first presentation to BOMA International was at their convention in Toronto, and the title of my presentation was "Who has the keys to your building tonight?"
Ooh, drop the mic.
Just drop the mic.
Drop the mic.
But no, it's
It's
it's a
true.
a real serious thing, and I've had the privilege of entering offices and my customers' buildings of the CEOs and boardrooms and stuff that their own employees don't get to walk in those offices.
Mm.
I remember I was inspecting a CEO's office of ITT Automotive, Tier 1 auto supplier, huge headquarters in Detroit, 330,000 square foot headquarters. And I knew he was really picky about the drawers on his desk. So I was sitting at his desk, pulling the drawers out to make sure the tops of the drawers were dusted because that's one of his pet peeves. And he walks in his office, and I'm sitting in his chair. I'm like, oh, Mr. Luliette, sorry, I was just inspecting. He goes, no, John. He says, just relax. And he sits down on the other side of his own desk and has a conversation with me. So, by the way, another true
No.
story, I ended up hiring his assistant. She's been with me for 23 years now. But anyway,
Hey, there you go.
the
See,
janitor,
that's what
the
happens.
janitor hired the automotive CEO's assistant.
Hey, if she's still with you.
Still with me,
Oh.
yeah, yeah.
All right, well, John, we're going to take a quick break.
Okay,
For everybody out there, we're going to take a quick break just so we can hear from our sponsor. And we're going to jump right back in because, again, there's a lot of stuff we got to go over.
okay.
Thank you so much.
I'm here. Thanks.
All right, guys, we're back. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And we're coming right back on to what John was talking about. I have actually a question, John, is key management. This has actually been something we've been talking about internally at Rosalato. I've been talking about it at the software company at Route. And what I mean by talking about it is I feel like it's still lackadaisy. Like when you get key, like we started many accounts and you'll get keys and they're sitting on the table and you label them, right? I get it. But like what are policies or processes you guys do at New Image, or that you know from the industry? Like, how do you approach key management? Like the codes, if it's a key fob or the physical keys, like especially with multi locations and crossing state lines, John.
Yeah,
It's a nightmare. Like
it is.
that's an ordeal
Hmm.
in itself. How do you approach them, especially early on when you're about to start an account?
Well, obviously, in the when assessing an opportunity, we want to know, how is access handled, and certainly there are customers today that have embraced technology where we can, you know, access it with a we have we have a project now where you just access it with a QR code that we can send to the janitor's phone to get in the door, and obviously if that person quits, we just turn it off remotely, and then there's key boxes that can be Wi-Fi connected and programmed, and you can give
Yep.
specific codes to each person. But we've got, like many people maybe listening to this right now, we've got lots of route accounts, with the good old fashioned hard keys, and trying to manage that, and it's I you know it's a PITA.
Oh yeah,
There's no other
it
way.
is.
There's no other way around it.
There's no other way around it. You cannot.
No, because
Like we've
somebody,
had so
yeah, somebody
we've had
quits,
so many
and
conversations, John, where it's like, man, there's these smart keys, there's this software, there's this, but that's not our decision to make.
correct.
Like it is the client's decision at the end of the day.
It is. And hopefully we'll get, we'll get there where we get a lot more sophisticated, but that requires an investment on the customer's part too, to retrofit doors and systems and all those things to make those things work. So,
Yeah.
we've looked at that too and try to make recommendations to the customers, but that's why I think it's important that we have lost key coverage. We've had that, the BSCI advocated the industry for lost key coverage, and we've had it for all these years, and unfortunately we've had to use it a couple times. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. So, John, now I'm trying to think of the audience, and I know I always get this question. Everybody always wants me to ask everybody, especially people that have grown and scaled their business. As in the journey, is there a moment in time where there was a roadblock? There was a obviously there's many challenges, but like anything in particular you remember that you feel like many others will hit as they're growing, that you can share some shared experience? Because to me, shared experience is so much better than an opinion or a piece of advice. Because I feel like,
Yeah.
again, entrepreneurs, we're stuck with a small circle around us when we don't have that many friends that may be business owners, and we sometimes take their advice, and it's like, but you've actually not walked in our shoes. You really don't know what I'm going through. Like, is there a moment, any like shared experience you can share with the audience?
Yes. Um, wow. 35 years of business. We could lots of answers to that question, but yes. So the big one that hit us when the real estate market crashed in 2009 to 11 was our client concentration. Was heavy in commercial real estate, Class A office buildings, and we had a good portion of that was 60% of our business, and 40 to 50% of that 60% was with one customer,
Mm-hmm.
and that customer went bankrupt in April 2011, and they were already behind on paying us, so we took a big hit when that happened. And in fact, we had to pay back money we had received the 30 days before they filed.
Oh wow!
So not only did we not collect,
Not collect, but you also had to pay. That's got to
Yeah.
hurt even more. You
didn't
gotta
collect
pay
the
back.
seven-figure receivable we had with them, we had to pay back money we received. Yeah, so that was a kicker. So one of my greatest answers to that question for contractors is, take the time to monitor your client concentration and make sure you don't have more than 15% of your business with any one customer. And don't tell me it's okay because there's different buildings on different contracts. If it's one decision maker, it's one customer. So, so that's a lesson learned. And the other lesson learned is so many contractors today don't take advantage of programs like yours with Route or Team to know what their cost is by job, job costing, job costing, job costing, job costing. And
Like you could never stop, right? Like
no,
and I always tell, and like literally, we're going to talk about this tomorrow, John. It's like you've won the contract. It doesn't stop there. Like
No.
reassess in 6 months, reassess in a year, fire a contract if it's not good. Like
Yeah.
we don't win good contracts all the time. Like they're not all great. We think they are until we do it. We can't
When
try before we buy.
right, because we're not a manufacturing company where labor is 8 or 9% of cost of goods sold. Labor is anywhere from 50, 60, 70% of the job, and or more, depending on the job. And you've got to know. So job costing is another one that I find lots of small companies don't even know what they're making per job. So I would advise to get on that sooner than later. Lots of companies are on QuickBooks. I know you can. I've seen lots of reports out of QuickBooks. They don't compare to the industry software programs that are available because they're just not it's not tailored to the industry. So that's the other one. And then monitoring those receivables. Don't let somebody get too far out on
Wow.
you because especially with the way the economy is now and interest rates are rising and now you're coming up on watch it too if any of our listeners are really heavy in commercial real estate because you're coming up now on those leases. Those 3 and 5 year leases are expiring since the pandemic, and people are not using their offices like they used to.
Yeah,
So
they could be breaking those leases or just not renewing.
they're not renewing,
Right,
or they're
yeah.
downsizing, and that puts pressure on those buildings to meet their debt service and so forth. So you really want to watch your receivables.
Oh man, nuggets, nuggets, nuggets. I could keep it going. I actually have a question that Michelle, you know, my sister-in-law, she wrote it down, highlighted, put 4 X's on it. She said, ask this
That's
question.
this question. Okay.
Yeah. So she's asking me about Don Reamer, who was the president of the Small Business Strategy Group.
Yes.
What advice did he give you from a business standpoint for you and what you're doing?
Yeah, he's the one who sent me to the convention for BSCAI.
Okay.
Yeah, so
So that was okay.
yeah, and since then, since I graduated, he's consulted with our company. He's spoken to our company, our management team. He's helped us with strategic planning, and then recently he's had me come back to the university to speak to the engineering department and students on how to use engineering to solve problems in that case make money. So encourage entrepreneurship to engineering students. So that's been really fun to do those. And then he's had me speak to an industrial engineering group a few times on internationally. Last one was in Rome. It was really really cool. Speak to those groups on using industrial engineering in our industry and how we've used that to increase productivity and increase compensation and bring down the cost and stuff like this. So Don, geez, all those years ago as a college professor has remained involved in my life and my business all these years. Has been really amazing.
That's all. So it's funny because you said engineering a few times, and literally last week we just talked about how like engineering and plumbing, like trades like that, like if you think about the mindset that those trades have or the people that are behind those roles, and then you think about a builder or an entrepreneur, is there's similarities, right? Because like you're troubleshooting, you're solving problems at all times. There's issues you're trying to find a solution for in those specific roles. But then that's the same as us as we're building businesses and leading teams.
Exactly.
So it's like the engineer is, yes, that's a title, it's a role, it's an industry. But I feel like builders so what do you think about this too, John? I've been saying this lately, but entrepreneurs to me are engineers. But furthermore, I consider myself a builder, or I consider entrepreneurs that are building bigger businesses and multiple businesses and are, launching this venture. We're builders now versus just an entrepreneur could be like have one sole business, and that's what they've done.
Right.
So instead of the word serial entrepreneur, like builders, like
Yes.
we are building a community, we're building a business, we're building a team.
Agreed.
Would you agree?
100%. 100%. Yeah. Having fun doing it.
Cool. Having fun doing it, right? Like
Yeah.
look at us right now. We're
Yes.
having fun doing what we love and what we've been. I've only been in the business for 8 years, industry 10, but I'll tell you, man, changed my life. This has been the best 10 years of my life as far as the impact. And I think you said it too, is the amount of impact that you have on your team. I feel like that drives you every day.
I'm thinking we need to have you come be a guest speaker at one of our town hall meetings. People would appreciate your story. Our people would appreciate your story, and I think you would appreciate seeing that whole culture, the way that's driven by that town hall. So
Ah, dude, I'm game.
third
I'm,
third
you let me know when. I'm jumping on.
third Wednesday every month.
All right, count me in. I'm in for the third Wednesday of this month. If you could pencil me in. So, all right, another thing I wanted to talk about, John, as we start coming to an end, because I also want to ask some points that you want to drive for us for listeners in the audience. But one important question for me, almost selfishly for myself, is a lot has happened in the last 5 years, right? Really, 3 years you could say, because since COVID. But what does the next 5 to 10 years look like for us in the industry, not just as business owners of a cleaning company or a facilities company, but the team, the environment, the workspace? Like, what are some tidbits you could tell us to be on the lookout for? Or, I mean, you said one about the leases, but just the industry as a whole, man. What do we have to look forward to? What should be, where should we be ducking, looking out for, in the next 5 to 10 years?
Um, there's a lot of news articles and stuff you can find and receive, and obviously we're both on LinkedIn, so we see a lot of it, about the future of the office, because of the pandemic. The fact is that the office will always have a place. So if our listeners are worried about, is there a future for the industry in the office market? Absolutely. And maybe it's different, it's designed different, it's used different. Um, but understanding how your customer is using their space gives you a really great opportunity. Number one, if you're still operating on a pre-pandemic scope of work in an office building, you're missing something. You got to redo that scope of work. You got to re-engineer the workloading. If somebody's 3 days a week, what 3 days are they working? What departments are working what days? Most of these companies now, they have access control. They can tell you what the population is. And it's a really good opportunity to re-engineer how we're cleaning these buildings and do what we need to do and not waste time and steps and chemicals and equipment, but most importantly, that those steps of labor to go to areas of the building that weren't even occupied today. So, and that allows you, number one, to be more competitive when you're trying to rebid to keep the business, pay your people more money to try to compete in the labor market, and return some profit to the company. One of my favorite sayings is we don't do this for the emotional experience. We have to make money, and that's going to become more and more difficult to make money in the business, I believe, because of the economic pressures that there are. So looking at the offices and getting educated on how your customers are using their facilities I think is a great opportunity. It's a great time to revise the scopes of work. But then, of course, there's other sectors that are always going to be booming, medical, education, and I would encourage our upcoming contractors to try to be, very diversified by market sector. And you don't need to be an expert in every market sector. I mean, lots of what we do is the same. Obviously, medical is different than office, but it's well within our wheelhouse, well within our suppliers' training tools to help us figure out how to do it, train our people and equip our people and so forth. So I like medical, I like education, critical manufacturing is all, you can't do that from home. So looking at those market sectors that, they can't be successful remotely and going after those as good sectors for the industry, forever going forward.
Nice,
I don't see the
nice.
I don't see the labor market getting I don't see it getting back to where maybe when you opened your office at 9 a.m. there was people standing outside your door to apply for a job. I don't see it ever getting back to that. So
But I think like we got to take it with, uh, it's going to be tough.
it's
Labor
gonna be
market's
tough.
going to be tough. I almost feel like we have to stop worrying about, like, worry about ourselves, our brands, our market, what we're doing
Hmm.
to differentiate.
Yes,
The people will come, man.
they
Like,
will.
I had three people walk in for an interview. I put a billboard up. We've done the billboards now this past month. Like, you just have to get creative.
Hmm.
Like, we can't complain about it anymore. It is what it is.
That's what it is.
They can make money elsewhere.
Hmm.
How are they gonna? Don't make it about the money. I feel like is what we got to do for, especially the smaller contractors. They tell me all the time, I can't pay this. They're getting paid that. I understand. Like, what else can you do then? Like, what else can you do to help them want to work with you in your brand and you personally as the owner?
Yeah, the things that we've already talked about in the first segment, the training and the culture and the
Mm-hmm.
pay and the benefits, all those things make a difference. And, we're picking up, I don't know, we're starting three new projects for two of them with existing customers in three different states in the same month, all because the incumbent is failing to staff the projects. And
Yeah.
we've started with double the staff that we need. And we're
Oh my God.
new to the
And you're
market
new.
recruiting. So it's like, so you ask me, what's it look like the next 5 years? I think for those of us that are plugged in to this network and your education that you're providing now and the associations like we talked about in the first segment, you have a great opportunity to just kill it
Yeah,
because
I
your
agree.
competition that's not plugged in is going to fail. And they're
It's
going
gonna
to
fail.
their weaknesses and their poor way of treating their employees and poor way of paying their employees and equipping their employees is just going to become that much more of an exposure for them. So,
Mhm. Exposure. I like that. John, I totally just thought of this too, and because you had touched on it before, and I saw you pull out the material from, I think it was Ecolab.
yeah.
So this is another thing that I've learned to appreciate even more, and I love talking to my suppliers and my manufacturers, man, like daily. Like, how important do you think it is for contractors, regardless of size, to establish relationships with their suppliers and manufacturers?
Well, do you want to work smarter or you want to work harder? Right?
That's it, right there.
That's right
That's
there.
it.
So, they're there to help you. I mean, you have to make a commitment, um, to of loyalty in your purchasing to get their support. That's just the right thing to do. But we've done it with diversity and now we're with Ecolab and I mean we on our startup somebody from Ecolab is there. They're part of the
Hmm.
startup team. They're
Yeah.
helping train our people. We do onboarding orientations for new projects and Ecolab's right there. If you saw my recent post from LinkedIn, and we did a 3-hour new employee orientation on a job site, and Ecolab was there explaining how to use all the chemicals and that they're safe and all that kind of stuff. So using them to help you train your people, diagnose problems, that's what they're there for. And it doesn't cost you anything more to take advantage of the service.
Yep.
You just have
Yep.
to ask. You don't get what you don't ask for.
Just have. There you go. That's all I'm gonna say is, it's when I started asking that I was like, oh, okay, oh yeah, you can come, you can meet us at the walkthrough, okay. Oh, you could do that too.
Mhm.
Sure. Oh, I asked though, so yeah.
Well,
I mean, you don't get what you don't ask for.
we had a walkthrough to do in Florida for a job, and it was just too many conflicts. We had a hard time getting there. The guy from Ecolab went there, represented New Image, and did it for us.
Come on, see?
Seriously.
Oh, that is awesome,
Yeah.
dude. All right. So as we come to an end, what? And this is a new question for me because I was actually asked this on another podcast, John, and I thought this was pretty cool to end with. But you're the first one that I'm going to hit with.
Okay.
So, what? So you got, and especially in your story, like you've got 35 years that you've done already. You've got whatever, how many years you got coming. So it's a two-part. But what is your proudest moment, or your proudest moments as a CEO and visionary for your company? Second part to that is, what is the legacy you want to leave for those that are part of your journey and those that have been touched by the New Image brand and yourself as a leader?
Wow.
When they asked me, I was like, "Ooh, I
Yeah.
feel it's a good one." So think about it. I mean, I
And
feel like there's a lot you can unpack there.
getting me, yeah, gonna get me all emotional now. Um, for those who've not traveled a lot outside the United States, you don't really know how good we have it here. And I am most proud of the fact that we took the United States standards of quality service delivery, and more importantly, the way the workers are treated, to a part of the world that was known for the exact opposite. and made an impact on thousands of workers and their families from many different countries, and allowed them to send that money home to support their families. And that what we brought to that part of the world was actually put into law and put into contracts for building the stadiums that hosted World Cup soccer, was put in the contracts to build the Dubai Mall, was put, I mean, and now, so that is definitely the thing of in the past 35 years that I am the most proud of.
Again, goosebumps, man. Just because uh, not many can say that, to be honest, John. Right? Like that is impactful. That is again, we're stuck in this bubble of America. I love my country. Love everything that we have, the freedom that we have. You just said it. What we don't know is what's going on out there. So to the fact that again, a cleaning business owner is what you could call much bigger than that. But you've done what you've done out there, and you're still doing it. So to the second part, what is the legacy John wants to leave in your behalf, in your name, and new image on this industry or this family, right? This family of because the industry is a family, I would say.
Yeah. Um, 98 too.
Ooh,
98 too.
there you go.
98% of our employees are great. The other 2% we have no control over, and I'd like to see that be felt industry wide. And I would like for us that are plugged into the associations to have 98% of the market share, and the other guys only have 2.
Woo!
How's
That's a
that?
statement. That's a statement right there. No, that is, uh, wow, powerful, man. Because it's the truth. Like if we all work towards that, and then the associations that we're part of work towards that, we're going to be in good hands, right? The clients that we have will expect different. We will be able to raise the bar, and the levers of success will increase, man, just because of what you just said right there.
Yeah.
So, ooh, I don't even want to end with anything else. Like, that's it. Like, let's just leave it right there. But John, no, man, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time. Like what you were saying earlier too, you're at an account right now. You're starting an account. And you still took the time to jump on with us and share your story on the show. Man, I thank you, man. I just
Thank you.
appreciate
Thanks
you,
for
and,
having
and
me.
like I,
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it because obviously I follow your cleaning and cocktails, and it's nice to be a part of it now. So, but
oh, that's it. You're in the books.
no,
You're in the books. Let's go.
Ricky, keep doing it, man. Keep doing it. Keep spreading the good word and the leadership and the inspiration, because the industry is a great place to be, a great place to invest, a great place to raise a family, and most importantly, make an impact on the world. So,
Thank you, man. Again, you guys, thank you for tuning in. John Ezzo here from New Image Building Services. You guys are going to get all his information in the description, like we always do. Don't feel obligated, because I'm telling you, reach out to this guy, talk to him. He's willing to share. He's willing to talk to you. And again, thank you for tuning in, John. Thank you for being on. Again, guys, everybody listen in. Until the next episode, thank you so much for joining Cleaning and Cocktails.